Chapter 1. The stories we tell ourselves about money. Money isn't just numbers on a screen or pieces of paper in your wallet. It's a story. A story you've been telling yourself, sometimes without even knowing it, since the very first time you saw your parents handle a dollar bill or overheard them arguing about a credit card statement. Pause and ask yourself, what's the first memory you have about money? Was it joyful? Stressful? Did it come with a sense of security or with fear? Those early impressions matter more than most people realize. They become the silent scripts running in the background of our lives, influencing the decisions we make every day. If your parents lived paycheck to paycheck, you might have absorbed the story that money always slips away. If you saw them save diligently but never enjoy the fruits of their labor, maybe you learned the story that money is something to guard, never to use. Here's the truth. None of these stories are objectively right or wrong. They are just stories. And the hidden psychology of wealth begins with realizing that you are living by one. Think of money as a mirror. It reflects not just what you earn, but what you believe about yourself and the world. Two people can earn the same salary, live in the same neighborhood, and drive the same car. Yet one might feel constantly anxious, while the other feels free. Why? Because one tells themselves a story of scarcity, it's never enough, and the other tells themselves a story of sufficiency, I have what I need. This is why personal finance advice can feel both universally true and strangely unhelpful. You can hand two people the same budget spreadsheet, but their stories will dictate whether they follow it or tear it up within a week. Pause again and ask yourself, what money story am I living right now? Is it a story of fear, of guilt, of comparison, or a story of possibility, of peace, of progress? Here's a powerful shift. You can rewrite your money story at any time. You are not locked into the script you inherited. Yes, it shaped you, but it doesn't have to define you. One of the most fascinating things about money is how invisible it really is. Think about it. You can't see wealth. You see the car, the house, the clothes. But those are only the symbols, not the reality. Wealth itself is hidden in savings accounts, in investments, in quiet choices made behind closed doors. But your story about money? That's visible in every decision you make. If you believe money is power, you'll chase status. If you believe money is safety, you'll hoard. If you believe money is freedom, you'll use it to buy back your time. Let me tell you a quick story. A man once grew up watching his father gamble away his paycheck every Friday night. He told himself, I'll never be like that. So he became hyper-cautious with money. He saved aggressively, never invested, and lived with constant anxiety about loss. Another man grew up in the same town, in the same neighborhood, with the same temptations. But he told himself a different story. I'll learn how money works so it never controls me. He read books, studied investing, and eventually built a small business that gave him financial freedom. Same background, same environment, different story, different outcome. Now, here's where it gets exciting for you. You have the ability to become the narrator of your own financial life. Instead of unconsciously replaying the story you were handed, you can pick up the pen and start writing a new one that aligns with your values, not your fears. So let me challenge you right now. Think about one money belief you've been carrying since childhood. Maybe it's, rich people are greedy. Maybe it's, I'll never get ahead. Maybe it's, money doesn't grow on trees. Pause the video and write it down. Then ask yourself, is this story serving me or limiting me? As we begin this journey together, remember, wealth is not just about how much you earn or how much you save. It's about the mindset you carry, the lens through which you view every dollar. If you change the story, you change the trajectory of your entire financial life. This is the hidden psychology of wealth. The stories we tell ourselves matter more than the spreadsheets, more than the stock tips, more than the market forecasts. Because until you confront the story, no tactic will stick. And if this chapter resonates with you, Don't forget to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more chapters in this audiobook series. Because the journey to wealth isn't just about money, it's about mindset. And the story you tell yourself is where it all begins. Chapter 2. Why Logic Fails and Emotions Rule. If money were purely logical, we'd all be wealthy. Think about it. The formulas are out there. The spreadsheets exist. The compound interest calculators are free online. Anyone can learn the basics of budgeting, saving, and investing. Yet most people don't follow through. Why? Because money is never just about math. It's about emotion. Pause and ask yourself, when was the last time you made a financial decision based on feelings rather than facts? Maybe it was that late-night online shopping spree after a stressful day. Maybe it was panic selling an investment when the market dipped. Or maybe it was saying yes to a dinner you couldn't afford because you didn't want to look cheap in front of friends. Every one of us has been there. Logic may tell us what to do, but emotions are in the driver's seat. Here's the truth that most financial gurus gloss over. Money decisions are human decisions. They're soaked in fear, pride, envy, excitement, and sometimes even love. That's why you can't out-math your emotions. You have to understand them. Understand. Think about fear. Fear is one of the strongest emotions tied to money. Fear of losing what you have. Fear of never having enough. Fear of making a mistake so big that you'll never recover. Fear pushes people to hoard cash under the mattress instead of investing it. Fear makes people freeze instead of taking opportunities. Then there's greed. Greed whispers, just one more deal, one more trade, one more risky move, and you'll finally be set. It's why people chase lottery tickets, fall for scams, or invest in trends they don't understand. And don't forget hope. Hope is what keeps people in the game even after setbacks. Hope fuels the dream of financial freedom, of building something better for the next generation. Without hope, nobody would bother saving or investing at all. Let me tell you a quick story. During the late 1990s, when the dot-com bubble was at its peak, thousands of people were buying stocks in companies they didn't understand, with business models that didn't even exist yet. Logic would have said, this doesn't make sense. But emotions, the fear of missing out, the thrill of quick profits, overpowered logic. People poured in their life savings. When the bubble burst, fortunes vanished overnight. The lesson? It wasn't about intelligence. Many of those investors were smart, well-educated, and even financially experienced. But when emotions take over, logic takes a back seat. Pause for reflection. When was the last time fear, greed, or hope pushed you to make a money move you wouldn't have made if you were calm? Be honest with yourself. This is how awareness begins. Here's the key. Emotions themselves aren't the enemy. They're signals. Fear can protect you. Greed can motivate you. Hope can sustain you. But when emotions run unchecked, they hijack your financial future. So how do you stop logic from failing? You don't. Instead, you build systems that protect you from your emotions. If you know you panic when markets drop, set up automated investments so you're not tempted to time the market. If you know you overspend when stressed, create a fun money account that gives you guilt-free spending without wrecking your budget. If you know you're prone to chasing trends, have a trusted accountability partner who can question your decisions before you leap. We don't conquer emotions by ignoring them. We conquer them by designing around them. One of the most underrated qualities in building wealth is self-awareness. Not market knowledge. Not intelligence. Self-awareness. Knowing your own emotional triggers. Knowing how you react when things go wrong, or when things go too right. Pause again and ask yourself, what's my biggest emotional trigger with money? Fear of loss? The thrill of gain? The need to impress others? Naming it is the first step to taming it. Here's what this chapter leaves you with. Wealth is not built in the spreadsheets. It's built in the space between your ears. Until you acknowledge that emotions rule, you'll keep trying to fight with logic, and you'll keep losing. But once you accept it, you gain power. You can build systems, boundaries, and habits that allow logic and emotion to work together instead of against each other. And that is where lasting wealth begins. If you're finding these insights helpful, go ahead and like this video, drop a comment with your biggest money trigger, and subscribe for more chapters in this audiobook journey. Because mastering money is never just about numbers. It's about mastering yourself. Chapter 3. The scarcity mindset versus the abundance mindset. Have you ever noticed how two people can earn the exact same income, yet one lives in constant stress while the other lives in peace? The difference isn't the size of the paycheck, it's the mindset. A scarcity mindset whispers, "It's never enough." An abundance mindset says, "I have what I need and more will come." Pause and ask yourself, which one do I lean toward most often? The scarcity trap. The scarcity mindset is sneaky. It shows up when you're always comparing yourself to others. It's the feeling of envy when your friend drives a nicer car. It's the guilt of spending money because you fear you'll run out. It's the thought, if they have more, I must have less. This mindset is rooted in fear. The fear of loss, the fear of not measuring up, the fear of never catching up. And here's the kicker. When you operate from scarcity, you often create the very outcome you're trying to avoid. People with a scarcity mindset tend to hoard instead of invest. They say yes to overtime, but no to rest. They overwork, overworry, and still feel like they're falling behind. The power of abundance. Now let's flip the script. The abundance mindset doesn't mean being careless with money. It doesn't mean ignoring limits or pretending problems don't exist. It's not blind optimism. Instead, abundance is the belief that opportunities are everywhere, that money can be earned, created, and multiplied. It's the sense that enough is truly enough. People with an abundance mindset invest instead of hoard. They're generous, not because they have endless wealth, but because they trust that giving won't make them poor. They spend wisely, but without guilt. They sleep at night knowing their worth isn't tied to the size of their bank account. Let me share a story. Two brothers grew up in the same household. Their parents struggled financially, constantly reminding them, money doesn't grow on trees. The first brother absorbed that story as truth. He lived frugally, but out of fear. Even when he earned more, he saved obsessively and never enjoyed his money. His life was marked by stress. The second brother chose differently. He understood the family struggles, but decided to believe that he could create opportunities. He took calculated risks, started a small business, and reinvested profits. Over time, his wealth grew. Not just in money, but in relationships, freedom, and peace. Same background, same income at first, different mindsets, different lives. Pause here and reflect. What's one area in my life where I'm operating from scarcity? And what would it look like if I approached it with abundance instead? Shifting from scarcity to abundance. So how do you change your mindset? You don't just flip a switch. It's a gradual practice. Here are 3 small shifts. Gratitude over comparison. Every morning, list 3 things you already have that bring you value. This rewires your brain to see sufficiency, not lack. Invest in growth, not just protection. Saving is good, but investing, whether in skills, relationships, or financial markets, creates future opportunities. Celebrate others' success. When someone else wins, instead of thinking, that should be me, tell yourself, that proves it's possible. Their success doesn't take away yours, it expands what's available. Money isn't just numbers, it's energy, and how you think about it determines how it flows in your life. Scarcity closes doors, abundance opens them. Remember, wealth isn't measured by what you accumulate, but by your capacity to live without fear. If this chapter helped shift your perspective, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for the next chapter in this audiobook journey. Because when you move from scarcity to abundance, money stops being a master and becomes a tool for freedom. Chapter 4. The Illusion of Control. We all love to believe we're in control. We plan our budgets, track our investments, and imagine we can predict what comes next. It feels safe. It feels responsible. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Much of what happens in our financial lives is beyond our control. Pause and ask yourself, how much of my financial stress comes from trying to control the uncontrollable? The desire for certainty. Human beings crave certainty. It's wired into our biology. Thousands of years ago, uncertainty could mean life or death. Today, it might mean a fluctuating stock market, a job layoff, or an unexpected medical bill. Different stakes, same instinct. That's why people love financial forecasts, hot stock tips, and economic predictions. Even when those forecasts are often wrong, they give us the illusion of certainty. They give us something to hold on to. But here's the danger. When you believe you can control everything, you set yourself up for disappointment. Because sooner or later, reality will remind you, you can't. The market teaches humility. Think about investing. Every expert, every analyst, every talking head on TV tries to predict the next big move. But the truth? Nobody knows. Not really. In 2007, almost no one predicted the global financial crisis. In 2020, almost no one foresaw a pandemic that would shut down the world economy. Time and time again, events surprise us. The lesson? Control is mostly an illusion. The real skill is not predicting the future. It's preparing to survive it. What you can control now. Before this sounds hopeless, let's flip the perspective. You may not control the market, the economy, or global events, but you do control your spending habits. Every purchase is a choice. Your savings rate, how much of your income you keep. Your time horizon, whether you invest with patience or chase quick wins. Your reactions, whether you panic in uncertainty or stay steady. You can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. That's the difference between those who sink and those who survive storms. A story of control lost and found. A young professional once spent years trying to pick the perfect stocks. He followed the news religiously, read every headline, and jumped in and out of the market based on predictions. Sometimes he won, but more often he lost. Eventually, he realized he wasn't in control of the market. He was only in control of himself. So he stopped chasing predictions. He automated his investments, focused on saving, and spent his energy building his career. Over time, his wealth grew steadily. By surrendering the illusion of control, he found true control over his behavior. Pause here and reflect. Where am I clinging to the illusion of control? And what would happen if I shifted my focus to the things I can actually influence? Resilience over certainty. Here's the mindset shift. Stop trying to predict. Start preparing to endure. Wealth isn't built on being right about the future. It's built on being resilient no matter what the future brings. That means living below your means, saving aggressively, diversifying your investments, and cultivating patience. The goal is not certainty. The goal is flexibility. At the end of the day, the illusion of control is just that, an illusion. But once you accept that truth, you gain a new kind of freedom. Instead of chasing certainty, you can rest in confidence that you're prepared for whatever comes. If this chapter resonates with you, hit that like button, drop a comment with one area of your financial life you can control, and subscribe for more chapters in this audiobook series. Because in money, as in life, the greatest control comes from knowing what you don't control and acting wisely anyway. Chapter 5. Wealth is what you don't see. When most people think of wealth, they picture the visible signs, the luxury car, the designer watch, the dream vacation. But the truth is, real wealth is rarely visible. In fact, wealth is what you don't see. Pause and ask yourself, when I look at someone who seems rich, am I seeing wealth or just spending? The loud versus the quiet. Imagine two neighbors. One drives a brand new sports car, wears expensive clothes, and posts pictures from lavish vacations. The other drives an older car, lives in the same modest home they bought years ago, and doesn't flaunt their lifestyle. Which one is wealthier? You can't know. Because wealth isn't about what you show, it's about what you keep. The flashy neighbor may be drowning in debt, barely holding it together. The quiet neighbor may have millions tucked away in savings and investments. The difference? One is displaying money, the other is building wealth. Consumption versus accumulation. Spending is visible. Saving is invisible. And that's why true wealth is so often misunderstood. When you buy something, the world sees it instantly. But when you save or invest, there's nothing to show off. At least not right away. Over time, though, those quiet choices add up. They compound. They create freedom. This is why so many people appear wealthy but feel broke, and why some of the truly wealthy often go unnoticed, because their wealth is hidden in accounts, assets, and opportunities that don't shine on Instagram. A story of hidden wealth. Let me share a story. There was once a janitor in Vermont named Ronald Reed. He lived a simple life, drove a second-hand car, and wore inexpensive clothes. When he passed away in 2014, the community was shocked to learn he had quietly accumulated over $8 million through decades of consistent saving and smart investing. No one suspected it because his wealth was invisible. He didn't display it. He built it. That's the essence of hidden wealth. It's not about impressing others. It's about securing your own future. Pause for reflection. Am I more focused on looking wealthy or being wealthy? And what quiet financial habits could I start today that will compound tomorrow? Redefining the word rich. Our culture often confuses rich with wealthy. Being rich is about income and appearances. Being wealthy is about assets, options, and freedom. Rich buys the car. Wealth buys the time. Rich shows up in a Rolex. Wealth shows up to their kid's soccer game in the middle of the day. Rich asks, "How can I look successful?" Wealth asks, "How can I live free?" The true reward of hidden wealth. At its core, hidden wealth isn't about the dollars themselves. It's about what those dollars make possible. Peace of mind, independence, choices. The ability to say no when others feel forced to say yes. That's why the wealthiest people in the world often don't look the part. Their satisfaction doesn't come from being seen. It comes from being secure. So here's the takeaway. Don't be fooled by appearances, and don't waste your life chasing them. The car, the house, the watch, they may turn heads, but they don't build freedom. True wealth is quiet, hidden, patient. It grows where no one can see, until one day it reveals itself in the form of a life lived entirely on your terms. If this chapter gave you a new perspective, like this video, share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe so you don't miss the next part of this audiobook journey. Because the hidden psychology of wealth is simple, the less you show, the more you often have. Chapter 6. Time as the ultimate currency. What if I told you that the most valuable currency you'll ever own isn't money? It's time. Money can be earned, saved, invested, and even lost and regained. But time? Once it's gone forever. And that's why the wealthy think about time differently than most people. Pause and ask yourself, am I using my money to buy more stuff? Or to buy more time? The true cost of money. When most people think about spending, they ask, how much does it cost in dollars? But the deeper question is, how much does it cost in hours of my life? If you make $20 an hour and spend $200 on a new gadget, that's 10 hours of your life. 10 hours at your job, away from your family, your passions, or your rest. Was it worth it? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. But most people never even pause to ask. The wealthy learn to see this trade clearly. They realize that money is only valuable to the extent that it gives them back the scarcest resource of all, their time. Buying back freedom. Think about it. Every financial decision either buys you more freedom or sells away a little more of your life. When you overspend and pile up debt, you're committing your future hours to paying it back. When you save and invest, you're purchasing future freedom. Days, weeks, even years. where you won't have to trade your time for money. That's the essence of financial independence. It's not about retiring with a yacht. It's about owning your time. A story of two retirements. Let me share a story. Two friends retired at the same age. One had spent his career chasing promotions and pay raises, working long hours to afford the biggest house and nicest car. The other lived modestly, saved consistently, and invested quietly. At retirement, the first had the appearances of wealth, but still needed to work part-time to cover expenses. The second had less flash, but total freedom. He spent his days traveling, volunteering, and enjoying family, because he had purchased his time back decades earlier through his choices. That's the difference between owning money and money owning you. Pause for reflection. What's one expense I'm paying right now that's really costing me precious hours of my life? Compounding time. Here's another powerful truth. Just as money compounds, so does time. Every good habit, exercising, learning, investing, compounds to give you more quality years later. Every bad habit, neglecting health, ignoring relationships, living in constant stress, compounds to steal time away. Wealthy people don't just think in terms of dollars compounding, they think in terms of life compounding. Every choice today adds or subtracts from the time you'll enjoy tomorrow. Redefining wealth. So let's redefine wealth. Wealth is being able to spend your time how you want. Wealth is not needing permission to take a day off. Wealth is having the freedom to say yes to opportunities and no to obligations that drain you. Money is simply the tool that makes this possible. Here's the challenge. The next time you think about making a purchase, don't just ask, "Can I afford it?" Ask, "How much of my life is this costing me? And is it worth that much time?" When you start seeing money as time, your priorities shift. Suddenly, financial freedom isn't about more money. It's about more life. If this perspective hit home for you, like this video, drop a comment about one thing you'd love to buy back more time for, and subscribe for the next chapter of this audiobook. Because the hidden psychology of wealth is clear, the ultimate currency isn't in your bank account, it's in your calendar. Chapter 7. Risk, Luck, and the Role of Chance. When people tell their success stories, they often highlight their hard work, their intelligence, their discipline. And yes, those things matter. But what rarely gets enough attention is the hidden role of risk, luck, and chance. Pause and ask yourself, how much of my current financial situation is the result of my choices? And how much is the result of circumstances beyond my control? The role of risk. Risk is everywhere in money. Every investment, every business venture, even every career move carries some level of uncertainty. You can make the smartest decision possible and still lose. Not because you were wrong, but because risk showed up. Imagine two people invest in the same stock. One doubles their money, the other loses half. Same decision, different outcomes. That's risk. This is why humility is essential in finance. Success doesn't mean you're always right. Sometimes it just means you got lucky. The role of luck. Luck works both ways, good and bad. Good luck might be being born into a supportive family, finding a mentor who opens doors, or launching a business at just the right time. Bad luck might be an unexpected illness, a market crash, or simply being in the wrong place at the wrong time. Here's the truth. No one succeeds alone. Behind every success story is a combination of effort and timing. Behind every failure is a combination of mistakes and circumstances. A tale of two entrepreneurs. Let me share a story. Two entrepreneurs started nearly identical businesses in the same industry. Both worked hard. Both were smart. Both were disciplined. One launched in 2006. His business grew quickly. But when the 2008 financial crisis hit, he was wiped out. The other launched in 2010, right as the economy was recovering. His business flourished, and he became wealthy. The difference? Timing. One was unlucky, the other lucky. Their intelligence and effort were nearly the same, but their outcomes couldn't have been more different. Pause here and reflect. Am I giving myself too much credit for my wins? or beating myself up too much for my losses. Why this matters. Understanding the role of risk and luck keeps you grounded. It prevents arrogance when you succeed and despair when you fail. It reminds you that wealth is not just a reflection of your skill, but also of circumstances. That doesn't mean hard work doesn't matter. It does. Hard work increases the odds of success, but it doesn't guarantee it. Think of it like planting seeds. You can prepare the soil, water daily, and give them sunlight. But sometimes a storm comes and wipes it all out. That's life. Building resilience instead of certainty. So, what do you do with this knowledge? You build resilience. Diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Prepare for downturns. Keep an emergency fund. Stay humble. Don't assume success today guarantees success tomorrow. Stay compassionate. Don't assume failure is always someone's fault. Resilience means you can withstand bad luck and still keep moving forward. The balanced perspective. The healthiest mindset is this. When success comes, be grateful. Recognize the mix of effort and fortune. When setbacks come, don't quit. Accept risk as part of the game and keep playing. The goal is not to eliminate luck and risk. You can't. The goal is to design your financial life in a way that can handle both. In the end, wealth is never just about being the smartest or the hardest worker. It's about playing the game long enough to let effort, patience, and yes, even luck, work in your favor. If this chapter gave you perspective, like this video. Share in the comments a time when luck, good or bad, shaped your money story. And subscribe for the next chapter in this audiobook journey. Because the hidden psychology of wealth is this. Success is never just skill. It's skill plus chance. And resilience is what bridges the two. Chapter 8. The Psychology of Spending. Every dollar you spend is a statement. It's not just an exchange of money for goods or services. It's a reflection of your values, your emotions, and sometimes even your insecurities. Pause and ask yourself, if someone followed me around for a week and saw everything I spent money on, what story would it tell about me? Spending as identity. Spending is rarely about the item itself. It's about what the item represents. The new car isn't just transportation, it's status. The luxury handbag isn't just leather, it's identity. The vacation isn't just rest, it's belonging, proof that you're living the life you imagine others admire. This isn't wrong. Humans are wired to seek belonging and recognition. But the danger comes when we spend not from values, but from comparison. The pull of status. Humans have always cared about status. Ancient tribes displayed power through jewelry, clothes, and rituals. Today, we do the same thing with brands, houses, and Instagram posts. But here's the irony. The more we spend to signal wealth, the less wealth we often have. That new car payment might impress the neighbors, but it steals future freedom. The flashy vacation may get likes online, but it might also get added interest on a credit card bill. A story of quiet contentment. Let me share a story. A woman worked as a nurse for 40 years. Her colleagues assumed she lived modestly because she drove an old sedan and packed her own lunches. They pitied her for missing out. But when she retired, it was revealed she had built a 7-figure investment portfolio. She spent wisely, lived below her means, and let her money work quietly in the background. Her story reminds us, the less you feel the need to prove wealth, the more likely you are to actually build it. Pause here and reflect. Am I spending money to bring myself joy and freedom, or to gain approval from others? The psychology of enough. One of the greatest traps in spending is the moving target of enough. You buy the car you've always wanted, and 6 months later it feels ordinary. You move into your dream house, and soon you're eyeing an even bigger one. This treadmill of desire, what psychologists call the hedonic treadmill, keeps you chasing but never arriving. The wealthiest people aren't the ones with the most stuff. They're the ones who decide where enough truly is. Healthy spending habits. So how do you align your spending with your values? Spend on experiences, not just things. Research shows experiences bring longer-lasting happiness. Buy back time. Hire help for chores if it frees you to do what you love. Give generously. Generosity creates joy that no purchase can match. Pause before big buys. Ask yourself, am I buying this for me or for how I hope others see me? Redefining the word luxury. Luxury doesn't have to mean diamonds or sports cars. True luxury is financial peace. True luxury is waking up without debt weighing you down. True luxury is choosing how you spend your day. That's the kind of spending worth striving for, not the spending that drains your account, but the kind that enriches your life. Money is a tool. When you spend it mindlessly, it controls you. When you spend it intentionally, it becomes a mirror of your deepest values. If this chapter shifted how you think about your purchases, give this video a like, share one spending habit you want to change in the comments, and subscribe for the next chapter in this audiobook series. Because in the hidden psychology of wealth, spending is never just about money. It's about meaning. Chapter 9. Saving, the unsung superpower. When people talk about building wealth, they usually jump straight to investing, stocks, real estate, business ventures. But here's the truth. None of those matter if you don't master the simple, overlooked art of saving. Saving is the unsung superpower of wealth. Pause and ask yourself, am I more focused on chasing returns or building the habit of keeping what I already earn? The foundation of freedom. Think of saving as the foundation of a house. Without it, no matter how beautiful the structure, it will collapse in a storm. Savings protect you from emergencies. Savings give you options. Savings create the capital you need to invest. Without savings, even a great income can vanish into stress. With savings, even a modest income can grow into freedom. Why we resist saving. So why do so many people resist it? Because saving is invisible. When you buy something, you get an immediate reward. The new shoes, the dinner out, the upgraded phone. But when you save, the reward is delayed. There's no instant dopamine rush. It requires patience. And yet, patience is where wealth lives. The psychology of delayed gratification. Remember the famous marshmallow experiment? Children were given one marshmallow with the promise that if they waited, they'd get two. Some ate it immediately. Others held back. Years later, the children who waited scored higher on measures of success, from academic achievement to healthier relationships. Money works the same way. Every dollar saved today is a marshmallow you don't eat, so tomorrow you can have 2, or 10, or 100, thanks to compounding. A story of quiet saving. Let me share a story. A man named Dave worked as a mechanic. His friends teased him for never upgrading his car and always bringing lunch from home. But over 30 years, Dave consistently saved 20% of his modest income. He invested carefully, avoided debt, and lived simply. By retirement, Dave was a millionaire. His friends, who had earned the same wages but saved little, wondered how he did it. The answer was simple. He respected the power of saving. Pause here and reflect. What percentage of my income am I consistently saving? And how can I raise it, even by just 1% this year? The real power of saving. Here's something most people don't realize. Saving gives you freedom long before investing makes you rich. Savings let you walk away from a toxic job. Savings let you pursue a new career or start a business. Savings let you sleep at night without the crushing weight of debt. In other words, saving isn't about deprivation. It's about liberation. How to save without pain. If saving feels difficult, here are some simple shifts. Pay yourself first. Automate savings before you spend. Out of sight, out of temptation. Create separate accounts. One for emergencies, one for long-term growth, one for guilt-free spending. Start small. Even saving 5% is better than 0. Increase gradually over time. Name your savings goals. Emergency fund feels different than savings account. Naming creates purpose. Why saving beats chasing higher returns. Many people obsess over getting a higher return on their investments. 6% versus 8%, 10% versus 12%. But here's the truth. Your savings rate matters more than your rate of return, especially in the beginning. A person who saves 30% of their income and invests conservatively will likely end up wealthier than someone who saves 5% and chases risky returns. Because saving is the fuel. Without it, the engine doesn't run. At the end of the day, saving isn't glamorous. It doesn't get headlines. Nobody brags about their emergency fund at parties. But it's the quiet habit that makes everything else possible. If this chapter inspired you to boost your savings, give this video a like, share in the comments your savings goal for this year, and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter of this audiobook series. Because in the hidden psychology of wealth, saving is not sacrifice. It's strategy. Chapter 10. Freedom over fortune. When you ask most people what wealth means, they'll mention numbers: $1 million, 10 million, a certain size house, or a luxury lifestyle. But here's the truth. The ultimate goal of wealth is not fortune, it's freedom. Pause and ask yourself, am I chasing a number? Or am I chasing the life that number is supposed to give me? What money really buys? Money can buy food, shelter, cars, vacations. But at its highest level, money buys something far more valuable: control of your time, the ability to wake up without an alarm clock, the ability to say no to things that don't align with your values, the ability to choose how you spend your days, not just your dollars. This is why many wealthy people still feel poor. Because they have money but no freedom. They've built fortunes but lost their lives in the process. A tale of two careers. Consider two professionals. The first is a high-powered executive making 7 figures. She lives in a huge house, drives luxury cars, and takes expensive vacations. But her schedule is suffocating. She works 80-hour weeks, misses family dinners, and feels chained to her phone. The second is a teacher who saved diligently, invested wisely, and designed a life of balance. She doesn't earn millions, but she has enough. She spends afternoons with her kids, travels in the summers, and never worries about bills. Who is wealthier? The world points to the executive, but in truth, the teacher may have something far more valuable: freedom. Redefining success. Here's the secret. Fortune without freedom is just another form of captivity. You may have golden chains, but they're still chains. True success is when you can live on your own terms, when your schedule, your priorities, and your time align with what matters most to you. Pause for reflection. If I had complete freedom over my time, what would my ideal day look like? The trap of many people keep chasing more income, more status, more possessions, believing freedom lies just around the corner. But often, more becomes the very thing that takes freedom away: more debt, more stress, more responsibilities. Freedom doesn't always come from more. Often, it comes from less. Less clutter, less obligation, less chasing. How to buy freedom with money. So how do you use money to purchase freedom instead of captivity? Eliminate debt. Debt is a claim on your future time. Paying it off is buying back your hours. Build a savings cushion. An emergency fund buys peace of mind and the ability to walk away from toxic situations. Invest for independence. Passive income and long-term investments create choices. Live below your means. The smaller your lifestyle cost, the faster you can buy freedom. A story of simple wealth. There was once a man who worked as a librarian. He never earned more than a middle-class salary, but he lived simply and saved consistently. By his 50s, he realized he had enough investments to cover his expenses for life, so he retired early. Not to live lavishly, but to live freely. He spent his days gardening, reading, and volunteering. People were shocked. How could a librarian retire so young? The answer was simple. He valued freedom over fortune. The hidden psychology of wealth is this: freedom is the ultimate goal. Fortune is only useful if it buys you back the one thing you can't earn again: your time. If this chapter resonated with you, hit that like button, drop a comment about what freedom means to you, and subscribe for the next chapter in this audiobook journey. Because true wealth isn't measured in dollars, it's measured in days you own. Chapter 11. The Trap of Comparison. It's said that comparison is the thief of joy. Nowhere is that more true than with money. No matter how much you earn, save, or achieve, there will always be someone with more. A bigger house, a newer car, a larger following. And if you measure your worth against theirs, you'll never feel wealthy, no matter what your bank account says. Pause and ask yourself, how often do I measure my success by someone else's scoreboard? The endless ladder. Comparison creates an endless ladder. You make $60,000 and envy your friend making $80,000. Then you make $80,000 and envy your coworker making $120,000. Then you make $120,000 and envy the entrepreneur making millions. And on it goes. No matter where you stand, someone will always be higher on the ladder. The danger is that instead of climbing toward your own goals, you spend your life chasing someone else's. Social media and the comparison game. Social media has turned this trap into an everyday hazard. Scroll through your feed, and what do you see? Highlight reels, vacations, luxury purchases, promotions. Rarely the struggles, debt, or quiet sacrifices behind the scenes. It's like comparing your behind-the-scenes footage to someone else's movie trailer, and it leaves you feeling inadequate, even when you're doing just fine. A story of quiet contentment. Let me share a story. A man inherited a modest home from his parents. While many of his peers upgraded to larger, flashier houses, he chose to stay put. At first, he felt embarrassed, until he realized his mortgage-free life gave him freedom his peers didn't have. While they worked longer hours to afford bigger homes, he spent evenings with his kids, weekends traveling, and mornings without stress. He wasn't keeping up, but he was truly living. His wealth wasn't about outpacing others. It was about aligning money with what mattered to him. Pause here and reflect. What areas of my financial life are being shaped by comparison rather than my true values? Breaking free from the trap. So how do you escape the toxic cycle of comparison? Define your own finish line. What does enough look like for you? Be specific. Celebrate others without envy. Someone else's success isn't your failure. Their win doesn't reduce your chances. Limit your exposure. If social media fuels envy, step back. Protect your peace. Focus on progress, not perfection. Compare yourself to who you were a year ago, not to someone else today. Why comparison steals peace. Here's the hidden danger. Comparison doesn't just make you unhappy, it makes you reckless. People overspend to catch up with friends. They take risky investments to close the gap. They chase careers or lifestyles they don't even want, just to keep pace. The result? Stress, debt, and emptiness. All because they measured themselves against the wrong yardstick. The truth is, wealth is personal. It's not about where you stand relative to others. It's about where you stand relative to your own goals, your own values, your own version of enough. When you stop climbing someone else's ladder, you finally have the energy to build your own. If this chapter hit home, give this video a like, share in the comments one way you're breaking free from comparison, and subscribe for the next part of this audiobook. Because in the hidden psychology of wealth, peace begins the moment you stop keeping score against anyone but yourself. Chapter 12. The Long Game. Patience as Strategy. If there's one secret that separates the wealthy from the restless, it's this: they play the long game. We live in a culture addicted to speed. Fast food, fast internet, fast results. But wealth doesn't grow overnight. It grows slowly, quietly, invisibly, and then, suddenly. Pause and ask yourself, am I living for short-term rewards, or am I patient enough to let compounding do its magic? The magic of compounding. Albert Einstein supposedly called compounding the eighth wonder of the world. Whether he said it or not, the principle stands. Small amounts, applied consistently over long periods, grow into unimaginable sums. Investing $500 a month at a modest return won't change your life in a year. But in 20 or 30 years, it could mean financial freedom. The secret isn't brilliance. It's patience. Why patience is hard. Patience is difficult because the early stages feel unrewarding. You save diligently, invest carefully, and yet your progress looks painfully small. That's why so many people quit too soon. They switch strategies, chase higher returns, or give up altogether. But the wealthy understand that the first stage of compounding is always invisible. The breakthrough comes much later, when time multiplies your discipline into something extraordinary. A story of two investors. Let me share a story. Two friends started investing at the same time. One stayed patient, investing the same amount every month for 30 years. The other kept jumping in and out of the market, chasing quick wins and panicking during downturns. At retirement, the patient investor had built a small fortune. The restless one had little to show. The difference wasn't intelligence. It wasn't luck. It was patience. Pause for reflection. Where in my financial life am I sabotaging myself by being impatient? The psychology of delayed gratification. Playing the long game requires faith. Faith in the future, in your discipline, in the quiet power of consistency. It's like planting an orchard. You don't expect fruit tomorrow. You plant, water, and wait. In a decade, the harvest is abundant, but only if you resist the temptation to chop down the tree in frustration. Building a long-term mindset. So how do you train yourself for patience in a short-term world? Automate your habits. Remove temptation by letting systems do the work. Track decades, not days. Judge your progress by years, not weeks. Celebrate consistency. Focus on showing up, not on instant results. Zoom out. Remind yourself that temporary dips are irrelevant on a long timeline. The wealth of time. The beauty of the long game is that it's available to anyone. You don't need to predict markets. You don't need perfect timing. You just need time itself. And that's the hidden psychology. Wealth isn't about speed. It's about endurance. The longer you stay in the game, the better your odds of winning. So here's the challenge. Stop chasing shortcuts. Stop expecting overnight miracles. Build systems, be consistent, and let patience work for you. Because in the end, wealth rewards those who wait. If this chapter reminded you to play the long game, hit that like button, share in the comments one area where you're practicing patience, and subscribe for the next chapter in this audiobook. Because in money, as in life, the greatest returns come not to the fastest, but to the most patient. Chapter 13. Resilience over prediction. Everyone wants to know the future. Which stock will rise? When will the market crash? What industry will explode next? But here's the truth. No one knows. Not the experts, not the economists, not even the so-called gurus. The real key to lasting wealth isn't predicting the future. It's preparing to survive it. Pause and ask yourself, am I spending more time trying to forecast what's coming or building resilience no matter what comes? Why we love predictions. Predictions comfort us. They make us feel in control. That's why financial media thrives. Endless forecasts about interest rates, housing prices, or stock trends. But history shows us predictions are unreliable at best. Almost nobody saw the 2008 crash coming. Almost nobody predicted the 2020 pandemic. And almost nobody can tell you with certainty where the market will be next year. Yet people still chase forecasts because they'd rather cling to a false sense of certainty than admit the truth. The future is unknowable. Resilience beats being right. Here's the secret. You don't need to be right about the future. You just need to be resilient enough to handle it. Predicting the market is fragile. Preparing for downturns is strong. Guessing the next trend is fragile. Diversifying your portfolio is strong. Betting it all on one outcome is fragile. Building a margin of safety is strong. Wealth isn't about being right more often. It's about staying in the game long enough that being occasionally wrong doesn't wipe you out. A story of two investors. Let me share a story. One investor believed he could predict market cycles. He studied charts, watched the news obsessively, and made bold bets. Sometimes he was right. But one major wrong call erased years of gains. Another investor admitted he couldn't predict. Instead, he focused on resilience. He saved aggressively, diversified his assets, and kept a long-time horizon. When downturns came, he endured. Over decades, his wealth grew steadily. The difference wasn't intelligence. It was humility. Pause here and reflect. Am I trying to be a fortune teller with my money? Or am I building a system that can withstand being wrong? The psychology of safety nets. Resilience comes from building buffers, emergency funds, reasonable lifestyles, and investment strategies designed for survival. Think of it like wearing a seatbelt. You don't drive expecting a crash, but you prepare in case one happens. Financially, your seatbelts are saving more than you spend, avoiding excessive debt, keeping cash for emergencies, spreading investments so one mistake doesn't ruin you. Why resilience creates peace. When you stop chasing predictions, you gain peace. You no longer panic when markets dip. You no longer obsess over the news. You accept that the future will surprise you, and you're ready anyway. That peace is wealth in itself. The hidden advantage of resilience. Here's the hidden advantage. Resilient people get to stay in the game longer. And in money, staying in the game is everything. Because time, not timing, is what builds fortunes. So here's the takeaway. Don't waste your life trying to predict the unknowable. Spend your energy becoming unshakable. Because the hidden psychology of wealth is this. Resilience is the true edge. And it's available to anyone. If this chapter gave you clarity, hit that like button, share in the comments one way you're building resilience, and subscribe for the next part of this audiobook journey. Because in money, it's not about seeing the future, it's about surviving it. Chapter 14. Money and Happiness. Money and happiness. Two words often tied together, yet often misunderstood. We're told money can't buy happiness, and that's true, up to a point. But we're also told that more money will make us happier. That's also true, up to a point. The reality lies in between, in the psychology of how we use money. Pause and ask yourself, when was the last time I spent money in a way that genuinely made me happier? The limits of money. Research shows that once your basic needs are met, food, shelter, safety, and a modest level of comfort, more money has diminishing returns on happiness. Think about it. Going from $20,000 a year to $50,000 can feel life-changing. You can eat better, live in a safer place, and breathe easier about bills. But going from $200,000 to $500,000? The happiness boost is smaller. More money brings more comfort, yes, but it doesn't necessarily bring more joy. When money adds happiness. So when does money actually increase happiness? When it's used in three key ways. Experiences over things, vacations, concerts, family trips. Experiences create memories, while things fade into the background. Buying time. Outsourcing chores, reducing work hours, or creating passive income gives you back your scarcest resource. Generosity. Giving to others has been shown again and again to increase happiness more than spending on ourselves. A story of true wealth. Let me share a story. A couple once earned a modest income. Instead of stretching for a bigger house or fancier cars, they chose to spend money on what mattered: weekend camping trips, dinners with friends, and donating to causes they loved. Their life wasn't luxurious by society's standards, but they were deeply happy. Their secret wasn't how much they had, but how intentionally they used it. Pause for reflection. Am I using my money to chase happiness in ways that actually work, or in ways that leave me emptier? The trap of more. Here's the paradox. Chasing happiness through money often makes us less happy. Why? Because the treadmill of desire keeps moving. You buy the car, and soon you want the upgrade. You get the house, and soon you want the bigger one. If you tie happiness to possessions, it will always be temporary. But if you tie it to freedom, relationships, and experiences, it lasts. The science of enough happiness and wealth share one word in common: enough. Enough is when your bills are paid, your future is secure, and your life aligns with your values. Beyond that, happiness depends less on dollars and more on meaning. The wealthiest people aren't those with the most money. They're those who know what matters most and direct their money there. Redefining the goal. So let's redefine the financial goal. Not just wealth, but well-being. Not just money, but meaning. We chase money because we think it will give us happiness. But the hidden psychology is this: money is only a tool. It's not the source of joy. It's the amplifier of what already matters. So here's the challenge. The next time you spend money, pause and ask, will this make me happier in a lasting way, or just for the moment? Choose accordingly. If this chapter gave you a fresh perspective, like this video, share in the comments how you've used money in a way that truly brought happiness, and subscribe for the next part of this audiobook series. Because the hidden psychology of wealth isn't about money buying happiness. It's about money unlocking the life that makes you happy. Chapter 15. Teaching the Next Generation. What good is wealth if it ends with you? True financial wisdom isn't just about building a fortune for yourself. It's about passing on lessons, habits, and values that outlive you. Because money, unmanaged, can disappear in a single generation. But financial wisdom, if taught well, can last for centuries. Pause and ask yourself, what money lessons am I intentionally or unintentionally passing to the people who look up to me? The statistics of inheritance studies show that most inherited wealth is gone within 3 generations. The first generation builds it, the second enjoys it, the third loses it. Why? Because money was handed down, but wisdom wasn't. This is why teaching the psychology of money matters more than leaving behind a number in a will. The habits, the mindset, the discipline, these are the true inheritance. What children really learn about money. Children don't learn about money from lectures. They learn from observation. If they see you stressing over bills, they absorb fear. If they see you overspending, they absorb recklessness. If they see you saving and giving, they absorb balance. Whether you intend it or not, you are always teaching through example. A story of 2 families. Let me share a story. In one family, the parents worked hard but never talked about money. They shielded their kids from the topic. When the children grew up, they repeated the same cycle of mistakes: debt, overspending, lack of saving, because no one ever taught them otherwise. In another family, money was an open conversation. The parents explained budgets, showed how they saved, and even let the kids help decide on family purchases. Those children grew up confident, financially literate, and independent. The difference wasn't income, it was education. Pause here and reflect. What money conversations do I need to start having with my family, even if they feel uncomfortable? Lessons worth teaching. So what are the most important money lessons to pass on? Spend less than you earn. Simple, but life-changing. Save before you spend. Pay yourself first, always. Avoid bad debt. Credit cards and lifestyle loans destroy freedom. Invest early and often. Teach the power of compounding. Define enough. Teach that peace matters more than appearances. Give generously. Show that money is a tool for impact, not just consumption. Why talking about money matters. Too many families avoid money conversations out of fear, shame, or discomfort. But silence is dangerous. Silence creates ignorance, and ignorance creates cycles of financial struggle that could have been broken with honest conversation. The more open you are, the stronger the next generation will be. The gift of example. At the end of the day, your words matter, but your example matters more. If you model discipline, patience, and generosity, those who follow you will carry those lessons naturally. Your financial habits today will echo for decades in the lives of those you love. So here's the challenge. Don't just aim to build wealth. Aim to build wisdom. Don't just pass down money, pass down mindset. Because a dollar can be spent once, but wisdom multiplies across generations. If this chapter resonated with you, hit that like button, share in the comments one money lesson you want to pass down, and subscribe for the final chapter of this audiobook journey. Because the hidden psychology of wealth is never just about your life. It's about the legacy you leave behind. Chapter 16. The Hidden Psychology of Wealth, a Final Reflection. We've traveled a long road together, from the stories we tell ourselves about money, to the traps of comparison, to the power of patience and resilience. And now, we arrive at the ultimate truth. Wealth is not just about numbers, it's about psychology. Pause and ask yourself, after hearing these lessons, what has truly shifted in the way I see money and myself? Wealth redefined. Throughout history, people have measured wealth in gold, land, currency, and assets. But none of those definitions capture the deeper reality. Wealth is peace of mind. Wealth is freedom of time. Wealth is living in alignment with your values. Everything else, the cars, the houses, the headlines, is just noise. The myths we've left behind. As we close, let's remember the illusions we've uncovered. Wealth is not what you see, it's what you don't. Fortune without freedom is a prison. Comparison steals joy and peace. Prediction is overrated. Resilience is everything. Saving is power. Patience is strength. And generosity is legacy. A story of true wealth. Let me share one last story. A man once lived in a small town. He never made headlines, never drove a luxury car, never wore expensive clothes. But he was wealthy in the truest sense. He had no debt. He had enough savings to live comfortably. He spent his time with family, worked on hobbies he loved, and gave generously to his community. He never appeared on a rich list, but those who knew him envied his life of peace, freedom, and joy. That is the hidden psychology of wealth. Your next step. The question now isn't what you've learned, it's what you'll do. Pause here and reflect. What is one practical change I can make this week to align my money with my values? Maybe it's starting a savings plan. Maybe it's cutting out an expense that doesn't serve you. Maybe it's simply talking more openly about money with your family. Whatever it is, take one step. Because change doesn't happen in theory. It happens in action. A final reminder. Wealth is not a destination. It's not a finish line. It's a practice, a way of living. Every choice you make with your money is shaping your future. Every dollar you spend, save, or invest tells a story. And the good news? You are the author. So write a story worth telling. A story of freedom, a story of wisdom, a story of true wealth. If this audiobook journey has given you value, like this video, share in the comments what wealth means to you, and subscribe for more books and insights like this one. Because the hidden psychology of wealth isn't about chasing fortune. It's about living a life of freedom, peace, and purpose. A life well lived.